Profiler Nation. It's Matty Kiwoom, and I am joined by my fellow trade god brethren, the morning man himself, the guy that rocks the best turtlenecks this side of the Mississippi, Jason Allwine. What's going on, Jay?
Nothing too much, man. Happy to be here as always. Happy to see you before you head out to the combine.
I'm getting nervous. I ain't gonna lie. I'm getting nervous.
I bet, man. I bet that's a big shot time right there. You're gonna be around everyone and seeing a bunch of rookies and stuff. It's gonna be fun though. You're gonna have a great time. So I'm glad to chop it up with you for all that. And then next week I get to chop it up with you for some reactions from it too.
Yes,
life is good right now, man.
Dude, it's weird. Football has just become a 12-month thing. Like if you love it, you can continuously chase something.
Yep.
Throughout the entire offseason. And we're recording here on Monday afternoon, and it'll premiere on Wednesday, so I'll already be in Indianapolis. You may have already seen me. Hopefully I get some questions in, talking to some of the athletes on Wednesday morning. But anyway, this is the newest episode of Trade Gods. Enough of the combine here, Jason.
Sorry, man.
We're here to talk trades. And not only are we here to talk trades, we're really more specifically here to talk about buy candidates. Not just any buy candidates. These are players that you, Jay, me, we all know who they are. They're producers. They may even been labeled some maybe studs. Jason, what do you think? Maybe a stud or two?
I think we've got some studs and at least some arguable studs here. And I might be the first person to call one of these players a stud, but I'm with it. I think it's a great way to put these players' name to kind of categorize them.
Stud adjacent.
Yes.
Stud Lee. However you want to define it. We're talking about players that have value, but potentially the market seeming to dip a little bit. And I think it's time to buy some of these guys, capitalize on a little bit of a discount and buy into some of these maybe unsung heroes, these potential studs. So we have 10 players. We got a lot on the plate here today, Jason. So why don't we just get right on into this thing?
It's time to buy and sell.
Trade Gods episode 3 of the 3rd season. Still can't believe we've been rocking it for 3 seasons, Jason.
Crazy.
We got 10 players, buy candidates, guys you know, people you trust, but maybe the market's a little low on them. So give us your first candidate.
Yeah, my first stud of today's episode is I'm gonna go down to the tight end position. And I'm just scratching my head about the valuation of this player, to be completely honest with you. He's only 26 years old, and up until he got injured last season, he was going to finish as the tight end 1, not only in total points, but in points per game as well. Ultimately, he finished as tight end 2 in points per game and finished in the top 5 still by the end of the year. And his name is TJ Hockenson. TJ Hockenson is so good. He's the Hawk for a reason. And I know that a lot of people were burned on him, maybe his first couple years in Detroit, and then maybe paid up for him a bit too much at the wrong time last year, and he got hurt at the wrong time. But plain and simple, TJ Hockenson is arguably the tight end 1 in Dynasty. I'm going to say it. I know it's Sam Laporta, but TJ Hockenson has just as good of a case, to be completely honest with you guys, at only 26 years old, which is the prime for tight end, and on an offense that throws him the ball a ton. Last year, TJ Hockenson finished number 2 in targets, number 2 in air yards, number 2 in receptions, and led all tight ends in target share. The guy gets opportunity. And me and you are both in the same camp here. I believe last time we talked that Kirk Cousins is probably returning to Minnesota. I expect him to.
Yeah, I think that's – and if it's not him, they're not bringing in Tyler. They're not going to have a Tyler Heineke situation. They're going to have a first-round draft pick or Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, like it's nothing's really going to change there in Minnesota. I mean, you hear rumblings that Justin Jefferson maybe get traded. That's not true, but I mean, imagine if that happened, that would be crazy. But it's just
you're talking. We'll have to revisit this if that starts happening.
Yeah. I'm not going to put any meaningful weight into that statement, but just imagine. But either way, he's still going to get a ton of targets in a really great offense, a scheme that really likes to use the tight end position. and he's entering his prime, coming off not that big of an injury, to be completely honest, as we get better at healing these kinds of things. And I just think TJ Hockenson is going to bounce back in a big way. And right now he's sitting at tight end 5 and sometimes even lower, depending on who you talk to. And I just don't think that was deserving. I mean, literally before he got injured last year, we were all crowning him really the tight end 1 in Dynasty. We had moved him up that far. And with that injury, he moved down, but I think I want to buy back into him. He's going to be back in Minnesota. The quarterback situation is still going to be really good. The offense is still going to be really good, and he's still going to be top of the position in opportunity.
TJ Hockenson, buy the injury discount.
Yep.
Because like you said, it's only going to go up if Kirk Cousins goes back, the health goes back, all this good stuff. My first trade target is quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray right now is being valued outside of the top 10. He's QB 11 on KTC, Keep Trade Cut. And I know a lot of people, I want to say this real quick. I know a lot of people hate on Keep Trade Cut for good reason. It's fine. It's just a nice benchmark when you're trying to talk generalities, when you're trying to talk markets. It's at least nice to have a community-driven type of thing. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because we use it a ton here now in the offseason, I feel like. But Keep Trade Cut has him at QB 11. But when you look at Kyler Murray throughout his entire career as an NFL quarterback in fantasy football on a points per game basis, this is how he's finished. QB 11, QB 3, QB 4, and QB 7 in 2022. And then last year, he averaged 18.9 fantasy points, which would have put him right inside that 8 to 10 range. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy who just consistently performs at a top 10 level, but is being categorized as an outside of the top 10 dynasty quarterback. And I think that's where you can buy in. You look at the analytical profile, okay, there's not a big sample size, so we're not going to dive into it too much, but a couple of key indicators do pop out to me that suggest future success for a guy like Kyler Murray. He was 9th in the entire NFL with red zone carries. So he runs the football. And on a points per game basis, top 10 in both the rushing yards per game and red zone carries per game. So he's still utilizing his legs even after coming back from an injury to his knee. In those 8 games was a factor on the ground. And then what's the biggest rumor right now in the draft season? We talk about the combine. We talk about all this happening. Now, I know he's not performing at the combine, which sucks. But a lot of the rumors, a lot of the projections, a lot of the mock drafts, myself included, has had Marvin Harrison going to the Cardinals. And if it's not Marvin Harrison, it's Malik Neighbors. Either who, it's a wide receiver 1. That's only going to help Kyler Murray as Trey McBride continues to get better and Michael Wilson gets better. There's weapons here. And you say to yourself, but this isn't the Cliff Kingsbury offense anymore. Noted. Kyler Murray in his 8 games, while he was on the field, their pace of play was 8th best, 8th fastest in the NFL. Yeah. Kyler Murray makes the offense fast. The offensive coordinator, the scheme, that can adapt to the skill sets of Kyler Murray. So buy now, because right now you might be buying at a QB 10 price and you're getting a top 5 guy. So that's why I'm buying a Kyler Murray if I can. Jason, what's your next buy target?
Let's see. I'll keep it easy. I've got a couple more pretty slam dunkish ones here, so I'll keep it in the slam dunk range. And I'm going to say, for the first time in my history of trade gods, now's the time to buy A.J. Brown. I've been saying, sell A.J. Brown, sell A.J. Brown, sell A.J. Brown, sell A.J. Brown, sell A.J. Brown. Because, I mean, remember last year? He went on that tear, was sitting at wide receiver 1 in points per game, had earned himself considered in the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase tier in Dynasty. Despite being a couple years older, like, it was insane how the market was on A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. And guess what? He's still that good of a wide receiver. A.J. Brown is a phenomenal athlete, an incredible wide receiver. And right now he's being valued relatively fair, to be completely honest with you, wide receiver 7. But again, last year he was valued as the wide receiver 3. And I think when you look at what he's going to give you, I mean, you're getting top 5 output. Last year, or the last 2 seasons, he's finished 8th in points per game, has had back-to-back seasons with over 1,400 yards, and last year finished 5th in total fantasy points, a top 5 wide receiver, and yet he's not valued there. And some circumstantial stuff as well before we get into some more metrics. He came out yesterday and was asked about this whole rumor that he doesn't want to be in Philadelphia anymore.
I was going to say that too, yep.
Yeah, and he said, no, I want to be in Philadelphia. It's as simple as that. He has a ton of money on the table left. He still has like $46 million left to earn on his contract. He's going to want to put his head down and play football for this Eagles team that's going to bounce back next year. It was a weird year for them. They've gone out and hired some great coordinators. He's still got a really good wide receiver too in Devontae Smith that's making it to where he can't get the full attention of the defense. And he's going to have those massive spike weeks that we love from A.J. Brown all season long. He's expensive, but he's worth it. And I do believe that in the season, he's going to get even more valuable, especially as the Eagles bounce back into playoff form. He's just such a good wide receiver. I already mentioned some metrics, but just to go on some more, I mean, he was electric after the catch. He was 3rd in juke rate. He was 8th in expected points added, 7th even in unrealized air yards. 870 yards went his way that were not brought in last season. So much is still left on the table for a player like him that I'm finally in on the A.J. Brown discussion. I'm buying him at his price.
It went all the way around the sun, but we finally got there. Jason Allwine is saying buy A.J. Brown. My next buy candidate here, I think he's being undervalued a tad, is Travis Etienne, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's heading into his 3rd year. He's been getting better as a fantasy producer throughout his career, which is exactly what you're trying to look for when you're trying to find some candidates, not just to help you win now, but that could be around for a couple of years. Over 1,000 yards rushing, over 475 yards receiving. He was running back 7 on a points per game basis. And when you look at his expected fantasy points per game, it was 8th. So we're not looking at any type of fat regression here. We're not looking at any type of luck per se. We're looking at a very skilled individual who was top 10 in a number of encouraging statistics, such as receiving yards as a running back, routes run as a running back, and evaded tackles. So he's elusive. He can catch the ball. And he's on an offense that, I feel like we're becoming a broken record as a fantasy community saying they're an ascending offense. They are an ascending offense. They need to just be good. I do agree with that. But I'm still not counting out the likes of Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars with his weapons and Doug Peterson there. So I think there is still some room for the offense to get better. And I am of the belief that Calvin Ridley will not return. I know some believe he may. They're not going to give up a 2nd rounder to give him money when he was fine. And all these receiving options will be available. I just don't see it happening. So there's going to be a lot of vacated targets. There's going to be, no doubt, a rookie there or another vet there. There'll be another body. But the hierarchy will be shaken up and there'll be a lot of vacated targets. And I think that if we can even just get a little bit of an improvement, even if it's just, say, 4 to 5 receptions, that goes Travis Etienne's way throughout the course of the season, we're talking over 60 receptions.
Yeah.
We're pushing 65. That's what I like to see. And he is ranked as a top 10 running back in Keep Trade Cut. So this isn't a buy low. This is just buying into a running back that I think is being valued underneath guys like Kyron Williams and Devon Achane, when I don't think he should be. And I think if you're a contender, you shouldn't do so. There's too much projectability in both of those players above him directly in the ranks. So I'm staying kind of not saying that those guys are not good. I just think that Etienne has performed at a top 10 level. He's being valued just outside of what he's produced last year. So I'm going to try to buy the slight dip of Travis Etienne, or even just pay 90% of the price. I'm okay with that because I do love the player, love the profile, and do believe there's still more room for him to grow. We're talking about some buy candidates, maybe some forgotten studs, some overlooked productive members of the fantasy world. And we're going to get right back into it after this ad.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player, and you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
Matty, Kiwoom, Jason, Allwine, the trade god's giving you 10 buy candidates. Jason, let's move on to the next one. What's your next buy candidate?
Yeah, and this was one of the ones I hinted at the beginning of the show. I might be the first person in the world to call this player a stud. But Jared Goff, he's a stud. I think he's done exactly what has been asked of him time and time again, and he performs at an extremely high level with absolutely zero respect. Jared Goff right now is valued as the...
Just doing the Ron Dangerfield. Sorry, I didn't mean. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to reel you like that. I'm sorry.
Jared Goff right now is valued as the quarterback 22, but he just finished as the quarterback 11 in points per game, the quarterback 14 the year before that, and last season finished second in pass yards with 4,571 and fourth in pass touchdowns with 30. Incredible production from him. And if you look at his player profiler page, it's just filled with insane metrics. He's second in pass attempts, Lions 9th in pass plays per game, 6th in deep ball completion percentage, 4th in clean pocket completion percentage, 8th in true passer rating, 5th in true completion percentage in general. And then the accuracy, top 6 in like every accuracy metric. And he's throwing the ball to Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams, and whoever else they add this offseason. I want in on Jared Goff any chance I can get in Superflex leagues. He's probably the cheapest quarterback two. He is at quarterback 22, one of the cheapest quarterback twos you can get, but he genuinely gives you quarterback one production in a shootout division. There's the Vikings that we just talked about are going to be throwing the ball a ton. The Packers have resurged, and the Bears are probably going to draft Caleb Williams and a wide receiver with their 2 top 10 picks. They're going to be electric in the NFC North next season. I want any piece of the Lions I can get, and I have no idea why the cheapest asset is the quarterback.
Dan Campbell, if you're looking for a guy to get the boys to run through the wall, come get my man Jason because he's got me fired up. We need to clip that, send it to Detroit. We're going to be in Detroit for the draft. Dan Campbell needs to come talk to Jason Allwine because that just got me fired up. And a little side note here. I'm in a startup, of course, startup season. And you mentioned the NFC North. Mm-hmm. And it made me ring a bell. These were my top 3 picks in this startup. And I did trade back. That's why I don't have a top guy, but I traded back, did some things. But I took Jordan Love, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DJ Moore.
There you go.
Well, I love me some NFC North too, and I also love me some DJ Moore. And you people out there need to stop messing around. Buy DJ Moore. Being valued continuously outside of the top 15 as a wide receiver. But last year, he finally hit what we've been waiting for. He hit the mark that we were all hoping for. Wide receiver 6 overall, 1,300 receiving yards, 96 receptions, 8 touchdowns. On a points per game basis, he was a wide receiver 9. Checks all the boxes there. Juke rate top 7. Dominator top 4. Target premium top 3. Team yards per team pass attempt, 5th in the NFL with 2.66. And then you know me, you know I love your yards per out run, 2.34. DJ Moore continuously checks all the boxes: athlete, producer, wide receiver 1, dominant. And one of 2 things is happening this offseason, Jason. Either he's just going to be in year 2 with the best quarterback he's ever had, or he's going to be catching passes from Caleb Williams. Listen, you can say what you want about Caleb Williams. If the Bears are going to say he's an upgrade, I'm going to take their word for it.
Yeah.
Kid makes all throws. So DJ Moore sitting out there as probably considered old, I would imagine. Even if you ask kind of the casual gamer, they'd say, he's a little too old. Still only 26 years old. He'll be 27 by the time next season rolls around. He's still in the end of his prime. I think another top 10 season is absolutely on the table here, and you're buying for, third, fourth round startup pick value.
Mm-hmm.
And how that translates and how that trickles down throughout markets, you'll know better than I do in your league. But I'm looking at a guy here that keep trade cut says the wide receiver 17, and I'm seeing a handful of guys ahead of him that have either red flags or projectability galore.
Yep.
DJ Moore is still an absolute target for me. It's hard for him to be someone that I can't acquire because I have him, I roster him in all of my leagues. But the ones that I do, I'm happy. I'm out there on the prowl trying to get me some DJ Moore. NFC North to the moon, Jason. I love it.
Yep.
All right. What's your next buy target?
Okay. I've got two here that are, it's free agency season. It's the off season, the dynasty in season. And my next two things are changing positively for them. We'll start with wide receiver George Pickens. I've always been a George Pickens guy. I know I talk about him a ton. I love myself.
We have our wide receiver types.
Right.
You like the Jameson Williams, George Pickens. I like the route runnery type, maybe slower, not as exciting type guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it just so happens that George Pickens is on a team with one of those route running, not so exciting guys, Deontay Johnson. Who will be going into his last month? Who will be going?
One of my guys.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got different. That's what makes us the trade gods, is we have different types.
That's right.
But Deontay Johnson's going into his last year on the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least contract wise. I doubt they'll be able to afford to bring him back. And honestly, I don't know if he's done enough to earn a second contract with that team, with the way things are kind of going. And George Pickens, in the last 2 years, with basically abysmal quarterback play from Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, who at this point is just an afterthought, has still been producing. Not in the best way possible. Like, he's still in the 30s when you look at points per game. But we've seen some incredible spike weeks for him. Last year, he had 4 games with more than 20 points. And he even had that incredible 2-touchdown, 195-yard game right before the fantasy football playoffs, or in the fantasy football playoffs. So it was towards the end of the season. Plain and simple, he's shown some alpha capabilities with bad quarterback play. And guess who's one of the teams that's going to get a quarterback upgrade this year? It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are the favorite to land a quarterback. Basically, anyone you talk to, they're going to get Russell Wilson. Oh, they're going to get Justin Fields. Oh, they're going to get Kirk Cousins. Oh, they're going to trade up and get Drake May. Whatever you hear, no matter what, they're getting a quarterback upgrade. And if the 1% chance that they don't, it's probably going to be Mason Rudolph. If I had to pick between Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, who's starting next year, I'm saying it's Mason Rudolph, a guy who locked on to George Pickens towards the end of the year and helped lead that team to the playoffs, get a few special wins towards the end of the season. This wide receiver, George Pickens, has been a player I've wanted a lot of for a few seasons now that he's been in the league. But now the situation's getting better and his value isn't really going up. He's sitting at wide receiver 28 right now. I've seen him down in the 30s on keep trade cut. He's very, very acquirable. People think he doesn't have his head in the game and that he's a knucklehead. Maybe that's true, but we've seen a diva perform well as a wide receiver on the Steelers before. So, So I want as much Pickens as I can get at his discounted price right now. He is a stud. He's shown that he's a stud, and he will continue to show that he's a stud with his upgraded quarterback next season.
The menace, George Pickens. Go buy him before it's too late. My next buy target is the most unsung of unsung heroes, and that's Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram right now on Keep Trade Cut is is ranked underneath Cole Kmet, Michael Mayer, Jake Ferguson, David Njoku. Now you could parse through those guys and pick whoever you prefer. That's not the point. The point is those guys aren't coming off of a top 5 season. Evan Ingram unequivocally is. It's undeniable. He was tight end 2 overall, tight end 4 on a points per game basis. This guy's still hyper athletic. And for some of the reasons why I like Travis Etienne is why I like Evan Ingram. Yeah. I believe Calvin Ridley is gone, and then whoever you bring in is either not as good of a receiver at first of Calvin Ridley, or certainly doesn't have the experience if they do go the rookie route. And with that comes opportunities for guys who have gotten it done. And Ingram, in his 2 seasons with the Jacksonville Jaguars, has averaged over 10 points and has been a top 7 tight end on a points per game basis. And then when I look underneath the hood, pop the top, look at these underlying metrics. 9th in yards per out run, 2nd in yards after catch, 1st in juke rate, which means he's shaking people down in the ankles, breaking ankles, getting gains after catches, and even his his production analytically, the yards per run, yards per team pass step, those are both very good. Then you add on number 1 in receptions amongst qualified tight ends, volume, situation getting better there by Evan Ingram. Don't overthink it. There's a lot of tearing down that can happen at the tight end position. We talk about it all the time. And I think if you have an Njoku and you could slide in the little Evan Ingram, even straight up, I think you might be able to get a third. And in this class, I'm getting those thirds all day long.
Yes.
If you could even take a Jake Ferguson, I know Ferguson's a lot younger, but if you can get a second for the age discrepancy, Ingram's going to be about 30 years old when the season kicks off. I like the production. Didn't see a dip in his athletic performance. Didn't see a dip in his analytical profile. That's why he's absolutely a target for me. And I just like getting into some of these Jacksonville Jaguars. You'll find, whether it be the players we bring up today or guys you've kind of come to the conclusion on your own as a fantasy gamer, you guys have to follow the clues. And some of the clues is teams who underproduce that you still feel are talented, because market's going to be down, the league's going to be down, and it's time for you to buy players that if the ship rights, progression happens, bam, you've cashed in on whatever you invested to get that player in your team. Jason, let's keep this train a-rolling at full speed. What is your next buy target?
Yeah, my final stud of this evening is the studdiest stud of all, Saquon Barkley. I don't know if you can picture a more stud than Saquon Barkley. Like, anything you want, you've got it when it comes
Saquon's a man. Yeah, he's a beast.
He's just such a good running back, such a good athlete. And finally, the stars are aligning for him to get the hell out of New York City, or I guess New Jersey. He's leaving the Giants. The bridge has been burned. The writing's on the wall. He will not be a New York Giant next season. He's going to be, in my opinion, a Houston Texan.
You think they pay up for running back?
The Houston Texans right now have $60 million before the salary cap increase. They're sitting at $90 million of cap space now. That's so much money. And running back is like their only position of need. This happened a couple weeks ago when I thought of it. I have not been able to back down on Saquon Barkley going to the Houston Texans. It sounds right. And I just can't imagine the fantasy football fireworks that would come from that. A great offense in a system that just saw Devin Singletary consecutively put up 20-plus point performances. Saquon Barkley on that team would be incredible. Now, of course, I get that that's all speculation, so I'll just say what you need to hear in general. Even if he returns to the New York Giants, he still finished 9th in points per game last year, 5th in points per game the year before that. He's so good at fantasy football, so good at regular football. He's scoring you points no matter where he goes. And the good thing is that he's not going to be a New York Giant next year. He's going to be a Houston Texan.
Sometimes getting away from the bad stitches can be everything you need. Saquon Barkley to Houston would cause mass hysteria right now. Saquon Barkley is available like rounds. Let me see where I can find him. I have my startup right here. 6.
So low.
Middle of round 5. I mean, you're talking about a lot of return on value if he comes back healthy, for sure. But even if he just signs with Houston, you could potentially flip. That's a nice little buy candidate, Saquon Barkley. Get the quads in here. The studdest, what'd you call him? The stud of studs?
The studdiest stud of all.
The studdiest stud of all. I'm going to end this list with another running back, and it's Jonathan Taylor. The reasoning doesn't seem as glitz and glamorous right now because he's being valued as a top 5 guy, but he's outside of the top 35 overall. And I see running backs like this, and a lot of people are selling. That kind of makes me want to buy because that means the price in a lot of markets is down. If everyone's looking to sell, the price is going to go down. And then when I look at what he did after injury, he did miss some games, kind of early, kind of towards the end, but he finished strong. Last 2 weeks, over 17 points in both of those games. He scored in the last 6 games that he played. He scored the last 8 of 9, I believe it was. He scored a bunch of touchdowns. And a question that we had answered last year was, where does the offensive line stand? They're getting a little bit older, and I think they came back and proved that they are still a very good offensive unit as a whole. They'll have opportunities to add in the draft this year. And then Anthony Richardson, we were hoping we would get the mobile quarterback corollary with the production that comes from that with Jonathan Taylor. We're looking to hopefully get that this year. And at the end of the day, a lot of the surface stats don't qualify because, again, he only played in 10 games last year, but he's still very dominant. 31.6% dominator rating, 6th in the NFL. He's going to be a focal point in moving the ball. And don't forget, remember there was also rumors of a trade for Jonathan Taylor. Right around, I think it was this time last year. Maybe we get a little Saquon help. And I'm not saying that Indianapolis isn't a good situation. Matter of fact, I love that situation. That's why I'm buying now regardless. But you'd have to think the team that wanted to bring him in is going to use him like the guy they'll have to pay him for. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Whoever that may be. So I think that he's kind of insulated and his value is a little insulated in his situation because I think it's great where it is, and I think it could be great if he moves to another spot. He's not a free agent, so he's not just going to be lured by the money. That's kind of what gets situations a little choppy, I would say, when the clash of the business of the NFL and how we value fantasy. But a trade is different because a team trading is investing more than just the money. They're investing a lot of their resources to bring the guy in. Usually translates into usage, volume, focal point of the offense, that good stuff. So buy Jonathan Taylor. Buy Jonathan Taylor. Because buy Jonathan Taylor. That's it. I'm not going to get crazy with it. I'm not going to go. The complete list, the 10 players that you should be buying for the 10 trade targets right now: Jared Goff, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, George Pickens, T.J. Hockenson, Kyler Murray, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, DJ Moore, and Evan Ingram. Jason, that's the show. 10 buy candidates, undervalued studs. We did it. Now, tell the people listening where they can find you and where they can consume all of the Jason Allwine content.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JFootballWine. You could tune into my morning show here on the Player Profiler Network at 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. That is called Wake and Take. And then just make sure you follow all of Player Profiler on any social media you can imagine: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We've got it. Go follow us. I'm the social media manager, along with some help of some fantastic helpers. So follow that. Our social media content is incredible. You will not regret it.
So. Yeah, you guys are absolutely killing it. Like Jay said, I will be in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. Getting a chance to see these guys in person, getting a chance to hopefully ask some questions, at least hear some questions, and chop it up with talent evaluators far more experienced than myself. So very excited about that. And boys and girls, children of all ages, fans of Player Profiler, we back. The game plan, trade gods, blue chips, future cast, the hurdle, all of it's back, all of it's on and popping. And you can get that here at the Player Profiler Network of shows. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and comment on this video, because Jason and I like to answer the questions. If you have any personal trade stuff, your markets, questions, anything like that, go ahead and leave us a comment. And if you want to DM me on Twitter or X at Matty Kiwoom, and you, that's basically it. Sometimes my brain just keeps going do what other stuff. That's what I got going on. He's Jason Allwine. I'm Matty Kiwoom. We are the Trade Gods, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.